I'm your host, Locke, and this is the podcast where we drink, smoke, and bullshit about the life of a historic criminal. Now we're talking outlaws and gangsters. We're not going to cover too many serial killers. That's just a little bit dark for me, and this ain't no true crime podcast. Honestly, you can't call this a history podcast because I'm no historian. I'm just a history fan that does some research and bullshits about it with his friends. So speaking of my friends, let me introduce you to my co-host. First with us today, we got Cancer.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Damn, came hot and heavy with the intros.
Oh, hey, what's going on, guys?
What, there's not a fucking bell or something?
It's the element of surprise. It's my new style I'm
Can I
doing.
get
Yeah, I just walked in the door. I just happened to have headphones on.
Welcome to the show.
How's it going, guys?
And also with us today, we got Dan.
Huh, what?
Oh, me?
What up, everybody?
How did we get here?
I was sleeping.
Hey, I just came back from the garage. There's legitimate questions.
Cancer, you want to kick us off today? Would you bring a drink?
Oh, yeah.
You were surprised by every question.
Well, usually you say this is blah, 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 and we're doing blah, blah. There's usually more intro. We just, snapped right into it.
I don't think so. That's usually what we do.
Is
I
it?
think you've been listening more. So
Maybe.
you hear the intro.
Well,
So this is Say Hello to the Bad Guy. This is how it's going to work, Cancer.
got
What
it.
we do.
Okay.
We're not historians.
First time caller, long time listener. I went with Founders Velvet Rush more because I was running late and I didn't feel like finding something new. So, and it's good. It's I've had it before. It's a brown ale aged in bourbon barrels, like everything Founders does.
They were able to get a bunch of bourbon barrels in bulk. And they're like,
I mean,
you know,
shit, Founders, they can get whatever they want.
you know, we're soaking everything in bourbon
If
barrels.
they want to soak a beer in King Tut's tomb, I'm sure they could.
Well, Founders now has started making their own bourbon. There's Founders bourbon, ironically, soaked in beer barrels.
Isn't that New Holland that's doing it?
Oh, maybe it is New Holland.
Yeah, because you
No, I
bought
think
it.
it's-
It was New Holland.
Yeah. all
Whatever.
right.
Maybe Founders could too.
Yeah.
Where am I? What are we doing?
Why are we wearing headphones?
Wait, what?
So this is somebody's first episode ever, and they're like, "What the fuck is going on?"
You should start it with no intro, nothing. Just dive right into it. So they keep rewinding, trying to find the beginning.
What did you bring to drink, Dan?
Well, I too found myself drinking Founders, which is one of my favorite. It's a staple on the show, and now that they've started sponsoring another podcast that I like, I'm going to start drinking Founders every time till they decide to sponsor us.
What
And if they never do, it's still a win-win because the shit's delicious.
Yeah, there you go.
What other podcasts are they sponsoring?
Stuff you should know. But they get a lot of alcoholic sponsors. They had Crown Royal for a while.
Well, see, we drink Founders. We plugged your stupid podcast. Like, somebody give us a fucking tweet or a sponsor or something.
We should do like a Memento or a Benjamin Button episode where we start off really drunk and then progressively get sober.
That sounds horrible.
We progressively get headaches.
So it's a podcast where I'm just napping? That's what I do.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
But to be more specific, I got a Backwoods Bastard, which is also aged in oak bourbon barrels.
Mm-hmm.
But I got it because I recently revisited the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and it looks like Gandalf on the thing.
Solid logic.
So I was like, hey, there we go.
There's Gandalf. I'm going
Yeah.
for it.
It's Founders. It's wizardly. Even though it's not really, he has an axe, so he's an old grizzled. He looks like Cotton, the old moonshiner.
Let me see it real quick. Oh yeah, like Gandalf the Grey Gandalf too.
Yeah.
Which is the doper Gandalf to me, honestly.
Yeah, dirty, grimy, just likes to smoke out his pipe.
I think it's his cousin Randolph.
Gray Gandalf is from like E-Course. Like E-Course Gandalf and shit.
Something tells me they have more than one.
He shows up with illegal fireworks and a pipe. Like if they ain't from E-Course, I don't know who the fuck is.
No, you're thinking of Rusty Randall.
And if he actually had a vehicle, it'd be a white van with no windows.
No, it would be a beat up old pickup truck that always has an old tire in the back. And it's not a spare tire because it don't have a rim. It's just an empty tube.
That hat, he got that at a gas station.
Yeah.
I got this Sheboygan Brewing Company, Blood Orange Honey. it's getting to the end of summer beers time, so I figure I'll dig one more. I mean, you guys already moved on to dark beers, and I'm a dark beer guy anyway, so
Oh
I
yeah, I'm a
embrace 'em.
year-round dark beer guy.
Well, I got another Founders. They're all day IPA,
Yeah,
which
that's
I was
good.
gonna bring, but I wasn't in the mood for a light beer because fall is upon us. So this is the first time I did switch to the darker ones. But yeah, now I do have to finish off that 12-pack of the other Founders alcohol.
Before we get started, we got to make sure we thank Sixfo Sueno for letting us use his music in the intro. Like always, we want to thank Cancer for letting us use his song in the mid-roll. You can follow Sixfo Sueno on Instagram. It's FOE. And then Cancer, you can follow at Cancer the God. The E is a 3. And
Nice.
Oh shit, I didn't know you became a god.
no,
I was born that way, actually.
you can follow us on Instagram or TikTok at Bad Guy Podcast. And then if you can't find any of those links, you can go to the website, badguypodcast.com, and you can find everybody's stuff that you can click through there. But we'll go ahead and get started. And today the bad guy we're covering is Elizabeth Bigley.
This ain't negotiation time. This is Scarface. Final scene. Fucking bazookas under each arm. Say hello to my little friend.
Nice, finally.
Ooh, a bad gal.
We got Elizabeth Bigley, a.k.a. Cassie L. Chadwick.
Not Bigglesworth or something cool like that?
Oddly enough, she's actually
Biggs.
she's actually known by Cassie Chadwick. If you look it up, that's what'll come up.
Okay.
Like her name will always say Cassie Chadwick. It's just not her real name.
Got it.
But you're a big fan of the nicknames.
Yes.
And then the last episode you were on, Gaston Means, the guy had no nickname.
Yes.
And you were disappointed.
Yes.
So we're going to make it up to you this time. So I went with Cassie L. Chadwick because that's actually like her alias. That's what she was known as.
All right.
But here's her actual list of AKAs.
Oh, shit. There's a list.
Yeah, I needed a second page for it this time.
Whoa.
So we got AKA the Queen of Ohio, Elizabeth Cunard, Emily Heathcliff, Madame Lydia DeVere, Miss Lydia Springsteen, Madame Marie LaRose, Marie Scott, Miss Marie Hoover, Cassie Chadwick, Cassie Hoover, and Betty Bigley.
It was like me when I used to order Columbia House back in the day. You mean for a penny? I can get Def Leppard delivered to my house? Yeah, that's a pretty big, the Queen of Ohio. That's a consolation prize.
Yeah, it's one hell of a kingdom. She really stuck to a few things. Marie was her shit. Elizabeth and Betty, Cassie. And then she was Lydia Springsteen for no reason at all. Just squeeze that one in there.
Mrs. So that means she was married to a Springsteen?
Yeah. And we'll hit most of these as we go through the story. You'll be surprised. I'm pretty sure we pretty much cover all these aliases as we go through. So
Oh, wow.
there was a method to her madness.
It wasn't all names at once. That
Right?
was ridiculous.
Don't be stupid, guys. Come on.
Oh, okay, got it.
So, Elizabeth Bigley was born October 10th, 1857 in Eastwood, Ontario, on a small farm. She was the fifth of 8 kids.
Right there in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at a young age, she went deaf in 1 year. At a young age, she went deaf in 1 ear and developed a speech impediment.
No, she went deaf for 1 year. After that, she was good.
So when she went deaf, it led to the speech impediment, and this kind of led to her speaking less and like carefully choosing her words. People would make fun of her, and people treated her like she was slow. She was described as a quiet and peculiar child, prone to daydreaming and fibbing, and she would often practice mimicking other people's handwriting.
I see where this is going.
That all checks out. Hey, I'm done talking to these people. They think I'm an idiot, so I'm going to just lie and make shit up out of boredom.
16 aliases, and she's good at copying people's handwriting?
Yeah, treat me like I'm a fucking idiot. You know what I can do? I can forge everything in your
Empty
goddamn
your bank
house.
account, asshole.
Yeah. And I like that. She's peculiar. She's prone to daydreaming and fibbing.
See, when you combine daydreaming and fibbing, so she just schemed.
And looking at those aliases, I can't imagine that her daydreaming was very inventive.
At 13, she forged a letter of inheritance from a rich uncle in London.
Nice.
And then she took a bunch of money she saved up to prove that she had some funds up front. So she took the money she had, and then she took this letter of inheritance and went to the bank.
At 13?
Yeah, 13. She's like, look, I got this official letter and I got this money. And the bank was like,
They were like, okay, do you have parents? Who the fuck am I talking to right now, little girl? Go get your mom and dad.
It's like the guy who sent a bunch of bills to Facebook and they paid him. He got caught, but it's a pretty bold move.
well, the bank said, well, this all checks out. And they set her up a checking account and a stack of checks. So what she did was she went out and she took her checks and she just went to all these different little local places and she wrote checks over the balance and then took the difference. So she'd go somewhere and she'd, buy something for, a couple bucks and write a check for $50 and the banks would give them the difference. Because back then they were like, oh my God, if she got a check. That's as good as fucking gold. This is 1860. Who has a fucking check?
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
Paper wasn't even invented yet.
That's
Her
ridiculous.
checks were pieces of bark.
She could just be like, yeah, I don't know how numbers work. I'm a little girl. I don't know how banking works. So, okay, I spent too much. Blame the bank, not me.
After months of writing bad checks, she had made thousands of dollars. She got arrested, but she was let off with a warning due to her age and being dubbed mentally unstable.
Oh, so now she's playing the old mental card, huh? They go to the bank, they're like, well, little lady, I don't know, you sound a little off and you're a little girl. I don't think you can get a bank account. So,
See, all your deaf listeners, they're going to stop listening now.
how many deaf listeners are there? Listen to what you just
joke.
That's
That's the joke.
welcome to the joke.
said. Where am I right now? What's going on?
Did I just wake up?
Do I have a bank account?
So as she got older, she actually pulled the scheme again, and she was able to keep most of her money. She runs the scheme again, and this time she made up business cards that had her picture, and it said heiress of $15,000.
On the card?
Yeah, that was her business card that she had. It said heiress of $15,000.
That's the most Canadian shit I've ever heard.
Now people have to get drunk on planes and say, my parents are worth $2 million.
I mean,
Well, so now when she's
Wow.
trying to run her scheme, if people are like, oh, I don't know, you're a kid, she'd be like, well, I got this business card that says it. And they would say, oh, well,
they
my
wouldn't
bad.
print it if it wasn't true.
See, it's one of those things, like there's a theory that if you just go to events and you carry a 6-foot ladder with you, like they'll let you in, they assume you're doing stuff. The amount of shit you can just get into because people just see that and they just think, oh, this guy
Yeah, they're here
knows,
for a reason.
Like, they're here for a reason. So these motherfuckers are just like, I don't really believe you, but you do have a card.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so fucking ridiculous.
Well, and there's not a lot of cards in the 1870s.
Bro, it wasn't until you could print business cards at home. It wasn't until then that people started to doubt shit. I mean, like a business card really could get you pretty fucking far up until the point where you can print them at home. Then people started to be skeptical, but I've seen it firsthand. Like it's 100% true that up to a certain point, like you could get away with that shit because nobody had business cards that wasn't in business.
Right.
Like the Secretary of State, you used to just be able to go up there with a piece of paper that said you had insurance till everyone could just print fake ones at home.
Yeah, makes sense.
Now if you get one they make, you're like, no, you have to have them fax it right here, right now to us. They don't trust shit.
Nope.
So she ends up getting caught again, but she gets let off grounds of insanity.
Wow, so
Is
now
that
she's-
offensive?
I don't know. She got off as a little girl because they said that she was too slow, and then now they're like, oh, she's just crazy. Leave her be.
Yeah, that's
all right.
In the late 1800s, when she was in her 20s,
But wait. Yeah, she ripped off a lot of people, but she's crazy. We'll just let her go. That's not a justification. That's just the reason.
Yeah.
Like, you would still have to lock her up. Like, no, she's crazy. We'll just let her go.
it's
What?
Yeah, that's not much of a deterrent.
it was rural Canada. They're like, all right, well, we got to send her to a mental facility, and they were
Oh,
like, well,
this-
we don't have one of those. Like,
Oh.
well, then I guess she's just got to go.
This little lady's eggs are all scrambled, eh? She's a couple drops of syrup short of a pint. She's working with a short stack.
Jesus.
Okay, we'll just let her go. She's as nutty as a moose.
In the late 1870s, she's in her early 20s, and her sister marries a man from Cleveland and relocates there. So at this time, Cleveland was a big American hotbed because it was a big steel city, and it was right on the water. So it was a dock city and a steel city, and a lot of steel magnates and real rich people were settling there because it was like an industry mecca of the
Nice.
Midwest.
That's kind of the story of Toledo and Detroit, all these towns way at the end of the St. Lawrence River when it hits Lake Erie. Like, all these towns started booming up because that's when the boats were like, all right, well, we're done. This is where we're going to land.
Yeah, we're out of fuel.
Yeah. I mean, we can go
set up
around
shop.
Michigan and go to Wisconsin, but who wants to?
She moves to Cleveland and she stays with her sister and brother-in-law for a while, and then she ends up getting kicked out when they found out that she secured a bank loan using their furniture as collateral.
Damn it, Elizabeth! This loan's gonna cost us a chair arm and a leg.
Yeah, that'll piss you off a little bit.
You know how much we still owe Art Van for this?
They're still paying on it.
So she moves out, she gets her own place, and she starts a business as a clairvoyant named Madame Lydia DeVere.
Dude, I like this chick already. How old is she around this time? I'm sorry.
This would be her early 20s.
Early 20s, okay.
I mean, it's a bold move. She's being very successful with these little bank schemes and I mean business cards. Now she's got to print out new business cards. Like, but for real, I mean, that is one hell of a switch up. I bet you she saw a clairvoyant and she was just like, oh, these fucking suckers.
Oh, yeah, she had to have seen it from another town or traveling. Yeah.
Well, and just seen people paying them, and she just thought,
Yeah, I can
oh,
do
come
that.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
I've been daydreaming and thinking of lies since I was a youngin'. I can do this shit all day.
She used her skills to con and scam money out of all her most vulnerable clients. Sometimes she'd use private investigators to dig up information on people before they came in. And then she'd use like anything humiliating or incriminating against them and blackmail them. And, you know, she just was able to outsmart all these dumb dudes that would come see clairvoyants, you know, and just get her hooks into them.
I see in your future, you're blackballed, motherfucker.
I see your signature.
That's so great. Like, I thought she was going to come up with a cool ass scheme with the clairvoyant shit. No, that's just a front to blackmail. Her clairvoyant scheme isn't even a clairvoyant scheme. She's playing 3D chess, and y'all motherfuckers is on checkers.
You go see a clairvoyant, and she's like, oh, I see in my crystal ball that you're fucking your secretary.
Mm-hmm.
How about
Yeah.
How about you pay me a bunch of money and I don't tell your fucking wife?
What kind of furniture you got? Is that maple?
I don't know.
We talking red oak? What are we? I know a banker.
Yeah, and she's already been let off a couple times, so she's pretty much like, well, I'm gonna push this until
Yeah, just
I
keep
can't.
running.
Yep.
I haven't gotten in trouble yet.
I'm just a crazy lady that sees things. Don't mind me.
Well, so she gets in trouble for stuff like that. She goes to some carnival or something and sees some clairvoyant acting like a crazy lady. And she's like, well, shit, I just I can make a living
I'm
doing
gonna
it.
drive this wagon till the wheels fall off.
Crazy like a fox.
She's described as plain with an unsmiling face.
All right, not a fox.
Rusting bitch face.
We got some pictures. Like a spoiler alert, she is unsmiling face describes her well. Like, she is not a smiler for sure.
Well, she spent her childhood not talking to people.
Right.
She's not much of a charmer.
And probably people treating her like she was an idiot just because.
But she was described as having hypnotic eyes, and she spoke real quietly, and her speech impediment now was like a slight lisp, but people thought she sounded like interesting. You know, she was like,
What's
was charming.
that accent? Mediterranean?
Yeah.
She just told people she was from Spain. No, we say Ibiza.
Spain.
Barcelona.
Barcelona.
I actually seen a quote that said her accent had people hanging on every word. So she went from like they used to not want to listen to now they're just waiting for her to talk. But I've always said the less you say, the more people listen when you talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and it's very smart to like gauge people's responses to the way you speak and then molding it and changing it creatively.
Right. On November 21st, 1882, she married a successful Cleveland doctor named Wallace S. Springsteen and took the name Miss Lydia Springsteen. But after the local newspaper printed a story and a picture, a number of local business owners and people began demanding payment for her debts. So since he was a famous person in the area, they ran the wedding picture, and then just people all over the town and business owners and debtors left and right. So started showing up and they're like, hey, your wife, She sold my furniture, bro.
Yeah.
Now I know this chick got money. Now I'm definitely coming to collect.
And now she's legally half and half with him.
So he starts looking into it, and he's like, well, what the fuck are you guys talking about? So he hires his own private investigators, and he finds out, oh, she's been arrested for fraud a bunch of times, and she's like really sneaky, and she owes all these people money. So he's like, fuck that. This is bullshit. You conned me. And he goes to get a divorce. And they were like, yeah, but you guys are married, and she does owe all this debt. And in order to secure a divorce, you have to pay off her debt.
Oh,
damn.
So after 12 days...
That's why you got to get that prenup.
12 days?
After 12 days, he ended up having to pay off all her debtors to finalize the paperwork.
So they were divorced?
Yeah.
He must have really not wanted her around, because, I mean, this is back in the day where, yeah, even if you didn't like who you were married to, you kind of still got stuck with it and everything. This was like, no, I'm paying all this money. I want her the fuck out. I'm tired of her creepy ass eyes and her wandering around, never smiling. Get her out of here.
The accent was cute at first.
Yeah, now
I'm over it.
The shit out
I'm
of
over
me.
it now.
And as soon as we got married, there went the blowjobs.
God.
So she then went and returned to work as a clairvoyant, this time named Madame Marie LaRose. So at one point she married a farmer named John R. Scott. He didn't seem to be rich. He just seemed like a regular dude. And she was married to him for a minute, and she couldn't do farm life. So she went and admitted to adultery in order to get a divorce from him.
I mean, like, he had the farm before they got together. It's one of those things you're either into it or you're not.
See, the first one was for money. Second one was for love.
After the first cockadoodle-doo, she was like, nah, I'm good.
If he didn't have money and shit, and then, like, she probably thought, yeah, go out to the country. I'm done with this city life, maybe. And then went out there and just realized, nope, turns out I like my schemes.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, to admit to adultery to get out of it, like, the other guy she made pay off her debts and stuff to get a divorce. Like this one, she was like, yeah, everyone can call me a whore and everything, but I'm getting out of here.
I'm out. I actually agree with you. I think that marriage, because she got out of it so quick, and he had a farm, but he wasn't like a rich farmer, and he was a younger dude. I think she probably liked him and tried to marry him and just got out on that farm and was like, dude, I cannot fucking do it.
Makes sense.
I can't do it.
What if he conned her? What if he he told her he had like this big mansion out in the woods on a big acre estate and all this shit? She went out there with the log cabin. Maybe it was an overboard situation. Maybe it was Kurt Russell. She woke up, didn't know where she was.
Kind of like us.
Yeah.
When we got here.
She was like, what am I drinking?
Podcast, what?
Yep.
Why do I have headphones on?
So she leaves him, and then she marries an older businessman named C.L. Hoover. Her and C.L. Hoover were married for a while. They had a son named Emil. And then in 1888, C.L. Hoover passed away and left her a $50,000 estate.
And a vacuum cleaner.
Nope, a dirt devil.
$50,000 in 1888 is worth about $1.5 million today.
Yo,
damn.
He passes away. She sends her son Emil to live with her parents in Canada, and she relocates to Toledo, and where she gets a job as a clairvoyant.
Wait a minute. You're like, okay, she's looking at the newspapers, like grocery store, grocery store, grocery store. Oh, clairvoyant. I've done that. I'm qualified for that.
I mean, now I'm really concerned with this clairvoyant thing. Like, she's really going back to that well over and over again.
I mean, it's not like an accountant or something.
To the point where she's rich. She could just be the rich old lady or whatever. She's like, no, I'm dumping this kid. I'm going back to telling futures.
Because now she can afford better private investigators.
Yeah.
She can deal with a higher class of dude.
Or she can just be rich and not do nothing. And just be rich.
It's just in her nature, probably.
Yeah, she's got to be scheming.
Gotta do it.
Well, and she does other scams too. So she would travel from town to town using different aliases to run short cons.
God, man, I wish.
It's just the love of the game, is what it is.
But I mean, what a time to be alive, dude. When you can just move Like it'd be like moving from like Lincoln Park to Taylor and just telling them that you're
Yeah.
somebody completely fucking different and nobody can look it up. Nobody can look at your Facebook. Like you can just be whoever you wanted to be.
The closest thing they have is like,
Crazy.
hey, is this a drawing of you? Like, no, it's a drawing of somebody else. Like,
It looks a lot like you.
look, I have a business card. I am not the one in that drawing. And what's crazy is how long, because it wasn't till fucking Herbert Hoover or John Edgar Hoover and fucking the FBI that started like,
J. Edgar Hoover.
yeah, one of those.
Him too.
Where am I? What's going on? What am I drinking? Founders drinking it.
Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah,
Yeah, him.
but what was that? That was like the fucking 60s or some shit. Like before that, you could just go to a different state. It's just be like, yeah, I'm in a different state. You can't
That shit-
fucking get me,
haha.
copper.
You're on Ghoul.
Like, it's crazy how
It is.
recently that shit changed.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
So she ran a con in Buffalo where she hung out. She would go to like fancy hotels or places where like these rich people would hang out, like in lobbies or VIP lounges and stuff like that, and hang out and just get to know these people. And in Buffalo, she did this scam a couple times. Like in Buffalo, she did it as a millionaire's wife. And then one time in Erie, New York, she did it's the same con, but she did it as General Tecumseh Sherman's niece.
Okay.
Now we're bringing generals into this?
Yeah, very time specific, I'm sure.
So she goes there. Well, he was like the hero of the Civil War or whatever. So she's there at this place in Erie with these rich people. She's like, oh, that's my uncle, my Uncle Sherm. And fucking,
My Uncle Sherm! What up, Big Sherm?
Unky Sherm.
Yep.
Oh, my Unky Sherm.
and all these rich people love her and she's telling stories and shit. And then
God.
she gets real sick and she has to go back home and she got to go all the way to Cleveland. And she got the money because she's the niece of Tecumseh Sherman and he's the war hero. But so they cover her money and get her some money so she can get back to Cleveland or whatever, and she's gonna send it back to him. And then they never hear from her again. And then so they start reaching out to Cleveland to try and find out what's going on.
I love it. It's like when you're at the bar and you're too drunk to get home and everybody like gets together for an Uber. Like I gotta go back home, but I don't got money. Can you guys pay for a cab?
Send me a train back to Cleveland.
Yeah.
And she sent him back a letter that said, regret to inform you that she passed away.
I mean, like, come on.
It would have been a lot cooler if it was like, I regret to inform you, I am not General Schumer's fucking.
I'm gonna send a letter to GM Financial next month. Be like, yeah, I'm dead this month. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Can't pay it. But so she would do that too. She'd do traveling schemes. She was working in Toledo as this, clairvoyant. And then she ends up meeting this respected businessman named Joseph Lamb. And he just thinks, dude, she's the best clairvoyant. She can see the future and shit. So he hires her as his financial advisor.
Wow, all right. That's
You deserve everything that happens next. I don't know what happens next, but you deserve it.
So, she's like,
she's like, well, I have had a bank account since I was 13. I've been getting loans and shit.
she's like, well, I don't know. I got a good practice. I love what I do and shit. And he's like, well, I'll pay you.
She's a lawyer.
I'll pay you really, really well. And she's like, okay, well, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
You pay me a bunch of money, I'll do it. So he pays her a bunch of money, and then she agrees to come on and work as his financial advisor. He starts asking him to cash large checks for her from a Cleveland bank that she would forge. And what she would say is she'd like, look, I would have to go all the way back to Cleveland to get this cash and then come back. I mean, that's going to take a long time. Do you want to be here without me that long? Like, they'll cash it for you because you're a big shot in town. So if you go to your bank, they'll cash it.
Where is her hand when she's saying this?
And he's like, well, yeah, that makes sense. So
Yeah.
and then you'll pay me back later. And eventually you'll go to Cleveland and you just give me all the money, bam, sounds fine. So he does it and he cashes checks for her. He ends up cashing up to $40,000 in fake checks for her. Which, as we covered, is somewhere in the $1 million fucking range worth of checks and shit.
It's always a good sign when you have to cash checks for your financial advisor.
Yeah. He cashes so much, they get so crazy with it. Eventually, they end up getting caught because they're just handing out fucking money left and right.
So was he in on it, or he didn't know he was being?
It depends on who you ask. Some people say he
Okay.
was in on it the whole time. Some
Got
people
it.
say he was just that stupid and she was kind of taking advantage of him. When they arrested them both, they let him off because they said they thought he was the victim.
Huh.
He said that she hypnotized him and she had an evil eye. He said she's got an evil eye and everybody knows it.
Ka from Jungle Book. You are going to cash these checks.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So he got off on being mentally unstable.
Right.
Is what happened.
He took a page from her book.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's as dumb as a moose, eh? Why are we Canadian in Toledo? I don't know.
It's a good question.
No, but that's wild. He's just like, hey, cash these checks for me. I don't want to have to go back to Cleveland. Story checks out. All right.
Yeah, works for me.
That's it. So it really comes down to if you believe someone could be this stupid or not. Like, is whether or not this guy
He's
is innocent.
It's funny how times have
Well,
changed.
well, real quick,
Yeah.
just before we get into that, because they're going to get way stupider. Like, we're just cracking the iceberg of how stupid these people are going to get. So,
Which is funny, like a difference of police. Like you're talking about police that would say like, they would let her off, thinking that she's mentally unstable, and then all of a sudden like, no, she's a mastermind. She's the
Right.
mastermind.
I think they were able.
Interesting change.
What I think it was is when she was young, she was this young, cute kid, so she was able to pass it off as, oh golly,
Yeah,
oopsie,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I got the big dimples and shit.
Yeah.
But now she's a lady and she don't smile. I mean, she could hypnotize you, but the cops ain't hanging around for that.
Yeah.
They just tase you and move on. So,
True.
but she ends up getting caught in this one in 1889. He gets off completely, and she was sentenced to 9 years for forgery.
Wow.
Well, I mean, you said she did for 40,000 or whatever, and when Hoover left her 50,000, that
Yeah,
was
that's
equal
a
to
lot.
$1.5 million. So
Yeah, that's a lot of
40,000
money.
has got to be just about that much. So,
It's a lot of cash.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah.
and this is far from her first offense.
She worked as a clairvoyant in the prison and shit. She was just like a fucking
Of course.
telling
Do you want to
people's
work
fortune.
do you want to work in the cafeteria, in the laundry, or in the clairvoyant?
I really think clairvoyant was just the stepping stone. That was just her interviewing stupidity.
Right. How
That
dumb
was-
are you?
Yeah, that's her figuring out, okay, I can rip this person off way more now.
Yeah, that's an interesting one for sure.
Most of the guards were scared of her. At one point, legend has it, she told the warden that he was going to die. He was going to lose $5,000 and die of a disease, and he did both. And then the guards were scared shitless of her. She only ended up doing 4 out of her 9 years. She was paroled in 1893 and returned to Cleveland. While in Cleveland, she assumed the name Cassie Hoover and started a brothel on the city's west side.
I want a TV show about her immediately.
You know what last name I liked having? Hoover. I'm going to go back to that.
And how appropriate to run a brothel with the last name Hoover.
Shit, I'm stepping this up a notch too. I'm dicking around with all this fucking clairvoyant bullshit. Like I'm just going
Literally.
straight, I'm just going straight to fucking brothel.
She's literally digging around.
So she opens this brothel, and she got one of the biggest brothels on the city's west side. And then while she's at the brothel, she meets this rich doctor, Leroy Chadwick, who was like a old money Cleveland doctor. So he's a super rich, successful guy. And he's a old widower. So his wife died. And he's got a ton of money, and he's at this brothel, and he falls madly in love with her, right?
Well, of course he does.
Because she doesn't smile. I'm attracted to that.
At one point, I seen something said that she had a nest of brown hair. Sounds hot. I want to give her I want to give her the rights to my bank account.
Wait till you meet her. She doesn't smile. She's got a nest of brown hair.
Whenever,
And she can see the future with one eye.
She's a little creepy, really.
whenever you
dig it.
Whenever you start describing hairstyles as like animal domiciles, she's got a real bird's nest of hair.
A sparrow would be right at home in her hair.
And a real beaver dam of an eyebrow.
So, Dr. Chadwick falls in love with her, but he's like, look, I love you and my wife died and I need you, but you run this brothel. And she's like, what are you talking about? I would never run a brothel.
Oh, so he didn't meet her through the brothel.
No, they're at the brothel. She's working at the brothel. It's her brothel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's for sure.
Oh, so he's... Oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, so he hangs out at the brothel all the time, and she's just kicking it with him and shit.
Got it,
And
okay.
they fall in love, and he's like, yeah, I love you, but you work at a brothel. You know,
Got
you're gonna
it.
fucking mad at him. And she's like, oh, no, this isn't a brothel. This is just like this is like a boarding house for young ladies. He's like, no, this is like a well-known brothel.
It's like, I just got my dick sucked like 10 minutes ago. What are you talking
Fuck
about?
3 of these girls.
And she said,
I just fucked like 4 girls at once. Like, what do you mean? And they charged me.
Well, then you, ma'am, have a problem in this hotel.
Yeah, this is a really interesting boarding house.
well, she freaked out, and she's like, you kidding me? Because I'm the etiquette coach. They brought me in here as the etiquette coach at this boarding house, and I'm just here to teach these ladies how to be proper women.
I teach them how to walk with a stack of books on their head, not how to suck a dick.
Well, she said her family name would be ruined if they were to find out she was working a brothel, and she fainted.
Oh my god!
And then when she came to, asked them to get him out of the boarding house before anybody found out and defamed her good name.
I think all the years of people treating her like she was slow, she's now gained like radar of picking out people that really are slow. Because this guy's
Maybe.
gotta be an idiot. He clearly went to a brothel. There's other dudes there and everything. And all of a sudden, like, oh, this isn't a brothel? Oh, I have to go? He's got to be an idiot to believe any of this.
Well, yeah, clearly.
Yeah. So she's just picking out morons over and over. She's just got a good eye for idiots.
So he immediately marries Cassie and moves her into his mansion, surprising his family and friends.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Because they all used to go to the brothel too.
So how did you two meet? Well, it was a weird misunderstanding.
3 of her friends were giving me an etiquette lesson, which I finished.
She's the best etiquette coach
Yeah.
you would ever fucking meet. So I couldn't get a better picture of this. This piece we're seeing is actually like the front piece, kind of like the foyer of the house. So it's actually real big. You can kind of see how it pops
That's
out
the
on the
coat
sides
room?
and stuff.
The house of the brothel.
The house. So this is his house.
Ooh.
So he marries her and immediately moves her into his mansion. Like I said, he's like 3rd generation Cleveland money and shit. So he's like this rich dude. So he moves her into his mansion.
Ooh, I can get a lot of money for these couches.
I'm going to put this mansion up for collateral. She's already a millionaire. Oh, but she probably lost it all when she went to jail.
She immediately starts spending all of his money. She bought a $9,000 pipe organ.
Of course.
Well, yeah.
She bought she would go to Europe to buy furniture. So she would travel to Europe to go pick up furniture. She would travel to Asia to buy sculpture and clothes. She had hats, like all her stuff was custom made in New York and Paris, and she would travel around the world like shopping for it.
She had good taste.
Even though she was still rich and she was doing all that, it turned out the whole time she was like scheming on tariffs, like how much stuff she would import back in. So even when she had money, she would still lie about how much stuff she smuggled.
Wow.
And they said the stuff that she bought was so expensive that like it was technically like millions of dollars in
Wow.
tariffs that she was breaking.
So she's just a klepto.
Yeah.
Like, she can't help herself. It's just the name of the game.
The mansion was on Euclid Street in an area that was called Millionaires Row. So at this time, Euclid Street in Cleveland, it was like one of the most richest sought after neighborhoods in America. So some of his neighbors were John D. Rockefeller, U.S. Senator Marcus Hanna, and John Hay, who was like a secretary for Abraham Lincoln. So it's like these huge, like rich people and politicians.
And she would still go knocking on all their doors, asking for sugar, even though she's got pounds at home.
It even looks like Indian Village in Detroit.
Yeah.
Well, Detroit's one of those cities, though. At one time, those neighborhoods were like the Millionaires Row of, these people. That,
Well, and Cleveland and Detroit came up in similar times, so a lot of the architecture and shit's a lot
very
alike
similar.
too.
Yeah. Like, it'd be funny. I'd go to visit a friend, and like her house would be like busted, and you drive around the corner, and then there's this mansion. You're like, shit, imagine being a kid on your big wheel, like leaving your house, and you're like, what the fuck? Like right behind you is like fucking mansions. It's interesting.
Who would have known Cleveland was the spot to be in the late 1800s?
I believe it. It's kind of a spot to be right now.
Ohio is one of our third or fourth. It's one of our biggest listener bases.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I can't stand Ohio. So that's crazy.
I actually love Ohio, and I'm not even saying that facetiously.
I mean,
I'm indifferent. I have no opinion on Ohio.
I don't know. I say that. Look, I mean, I don't know. I've been to Ohio a lot. It's pretty dope.
I just don't like Columbus.
Canton.
It's the sports guy in you.
Yeah.
I know that's what it is.
It is. Yeah, because I don't like the Indians. I don't like the Cavs. I don't like the, you know what I mean? So it's easy
And
to
it's a weird, I call it like a sibling rivalry. Like a lot of people in Michigan for some reason just like, anti-Ohio, and a lot of Ohio people are like anti-Michigan for no reason. It's like, we are just about the same.
Yeah.
It's the same spot.
I love going to Toledo and Cleveland.
I love Cedar Point.
Canton, NFL Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
The Christmas Story House.
Oh, yeah. Is it still up?
Yeah.
I should go there this year.
They had to do it. They need the money.
there.
They had a record loss over COVID. Like, nobody came. Like, it fucking almost crushed the Christmas Story House.
What, are you going to get COVID standing in a fucking driveway?
I don't know.
Like, come on.
It's a mom and pop business down there in fucking Ralphie's house.
Fragile.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick smoke break, refill our drinks, and we'll be back in a minute.
Shackles to break out of. They cower solo but mob them and they crowd us. Spilling in the street with heat like hot lava. Pop bottles, molotovs tossed and rocks follow. Ominous disciples like vipers, they strike quickly. Come at me like an army, I'm tearing you down with me. Spit like a baron, rulers of bread like Kaiser. Roll with the goal and get beaten like outsiders. These amateur animals swing in the wrong jungle. Climbing the wrong vines mean these lions will snuff you. Concrete wilderness building our own structure. Writing our own order, appointing our own judges. Overthrowing authority, morally lack conscience. Fighting for survival with rivals with throat punches. Monitor the area carrying curved swords. Slither in the brush till we crush them with brute force. Men storming the harbor with armored attack armaments. Calling all guards to swarm them and skin their faces for ornaments. Order more troops to corner them, Agent Orange and mortar them. Kill them all, just destroy them and let your guy get to sorting them. Code of honor corroded as soon as it was awarded. Celebrations were thwarted before they could be supported. Rolling thunder bombarded them, flaming dark put a part in them. Separate and disarm them and send the bulls to the parliament. Operation Niagara, Viet Cong on the battle with landmines and grenades and flamethrowers to scatter them. Dear mama, this battle is harder than what we thought it'd be. Every part of me scarred, I'll be recognized when they mortar me. It's almost time to run, put on your army helmets now. You're running toward the sun with all your guns, defenses down. Flashes everywhere, the lights create an atmosphere. Water in your lungs, you pray for death, but life is here. You're about to die, face it, you're about to die. Zero sand in your glass, fuck it, you can't even cry. Put a dagger to your neck, just to keep yourself in check. Put a dagger to your neck, just to keep yourself in check. Everybody grab a side as you fight to stay alive. Dancing on a hand grenade so you can die and they survive. Silver bullets in the sky, dropping 7-second death. Scattering the children, run, rub until there's nothing left. Ashes in the water, sons and daughters holding flags up high. Wallow in the harbor as the military tanks arrive. Penetrate the border with disorder like an animal. Every war has the honor of turning kings into cannibals.
Tater tots are the donut holes of hash browns.
I
Not
keep
bad.
just that little piece right there.
That belongs there.
Nugget.
Put it on a t-shirt, put it on a bumper sticker.
All right. When we left off, she had married Dr. Chadwick and was settled into millionaire wife life on Millionaire's Row in Cleveland.
She was still spending a bunch of money and still just ripping people off where she could.
And she
That's her
has
jam.
impeccable taste.
In the spring of 1902, Cassie took a train to New York following her husband's friend, a lawyer named James Dillon. She booked a room at the same hotel he did and then pretended to coincidentally run into him at the banquet room at that luxury hotel. So they run into each other, and this lawyer's like, "Hey, aren't you
What
Cassie
are you
Chadwick
doing here?
Fucking, the doctor's wife?"
Oh, but I had no idea you would be here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little low on funds, but I do have this business card that says who my husband is, but you already know him. So
You don't need the business card. You already know.
Yeah, we go way back.
So, what you got on my 40, homie? I mean, that essentially is what she is doing. She's going all up and down the St. Lawrence from Buffalo, New York to Toledo. Just, hey, what you got on my 40?
She puts her fingers up to her head and she says, I see an adulterous blowjob in your future.
She's straight up.
I mean, this is kind of what I do. I see that happening.
I'm just saying, maybe.
See, maybe if she's, I mean, I will give her credit because, no, a lot of shit that goes on or whatever, I always give her credit when she's doing all this stuff, spitting all this game, but she hasn't been like a prostitute in any way. Like, she's not selling sex. She straight up is using her mind and ripping these dudes off. Like you could say, because she's marrying these people, sure.
Well, no, but then they're buying the cow, though.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I'm saying.
So she tells him she's in town in personal business with her father, and her ride stood her up, and you know he's a gentleman and she knows her. She needs an escort, so asks him if he can escort her to her father's house.
See, in case in point, this whole thing, it's the neighbor, like her husband's friend. She happened to go into the same hotel. But in this case, as I'm hearing this story, no part of me is thinking, oh, she's going to like fuck this dude and cheat on her husband. It is just straight up, she's going to rip this guy off.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
That's it.
So he says, yeah. So he goes and he agrees to escort her, and he hails a carriage, and he follows the direction, and they pull up at Andrew Carnegie's 4-story mansion.
Tell you what, she goes big with her shit.
It's a bold move.
It's a bold move, Cotton.
It's a bold move, God. Let's see how it pans out.
So they pull out at Andrew Carnegie's house, and the lawyer friend's like, it's Andrew Carnegie's house. So she goes up to the door and she knocks on the door, and
I forgot my key.
they come out and they talk to her, and she goes in. She goes in the house, and she's in there for like 20-30 minutes, and she comes out and she gets back in the carriage. It turns out what she did was she went up there and she knocked on the door.
Kitchen inspector.
She told him that she was gonna hire a maid that had used them as a reference, and she wanted to check the reference.
She's the shit.
So they brought her in, and then like they, you know, and then she's just nice with everybody, and so they're talking to her, and they couldn't find it, so they're like, well, we'll go get the butler guy, and you know, we'll go check the records and shit. And then when she leaves, she was like waving to him and talking and shit. So he just sees her coming. He's like, dude,
wow.
she's just in there for 30 minutes. It's Andrew Carnegie's house. She pulled up and walked up in there.
Yeah, I tried to impress a girl like that too. I told her the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was like one of my summer houses.
Got tased.
Walk in and be like, yeah, it didn't end as well.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
But I tried.
So she gets in the carriage. She accidentally drops an envelope of $500K worth of promissory notes and $5 million worth of securities.
Wait, whoa, wait, what? So she leaves the carriage. So she goes up to the door, and then she comes back. So is she trying to make it look like the envelope came from inside the house?
Yeah.
Man, god
That
damn,
was her scheme.
she is so fucking smart.
She's playing 3D chess.
She is something else,
You are
man.
a Connect 4.
So this guy's like, whoa. It's like $500,000 in promissory notes and like.
So she's
securities
playing
and-
U of M Monopoly, and they're playing Ohio State Monopoly. Is that what you're saying?
Ooh,
burn.
dick burn.
Ohio State's considerably better at football lately, though.
And you know, it takes a big U to say that.
It sucks.
Well, I mean, so it takes you to say that.
Ouch, man! This is my goddamn podcast, bro.
Damn.
My fucking podcast.
He just got back in the carriage and
Where's
dropped an
the-
envelope
Where's the
of
mute
promissory
button?
notes. He just dropped 500,000 of promissory
this
notes
guy.
on your ass.
I didn't call you a chick.
All right. I started it. I said be nice. You're like fuck you. No,
I'll go the other way.
Turn the screw.
I'm going scorched earth. I'm gonna salt the earth. You know, I'm gonna burn this whole fucking podcast down. I'm gonna be playing basketball in Pelican Bay.
He's gonna fucking unplug your mic in a second.
Fuck everybody, but founders.
So she's like, look, you can't tell anybody this. This is super secret, so don't tell anybody.
You can't tell anybody this. Why? Because I just made it up.
But I'm Andrew Carnegie's illegitimate daughter.
And he doesn't know.
Well, no, he knows, but he has to pay me his money, so I don't say anything because it looks bad for his reputation. He's this,
Wow,
he's this big
man.
businessman and shit.
My real name is Cassie Carnegie.
So he's like, "This is a lot of money." She's like, "Dude, I got." She's like, "Look," she said, "At home I got $7 million more, and then I got a $400 million inheritance when he passes away. This ain't shit." Like,
But wait a minute. She's saying this to a person who knows her husband.
yeah.
God, she's something else.
That's what I'm saying. She walks in line like this is genius, but so fucking stupid at the same time.
But she's like, "Yeah, don't tell anybody." That's why I don't want.
Which
I
right
want-
now means like $1 trillion.
Well, that's why I want him to love me for me, not for my money. So that's why I don't.
I
let
want
him
him
know.
to love me and my crazy fucking eyes.
And lack of a smile.
Yeah, not for my $400 million.
For my lovely demeanor.
So he says, "Okay, I won't tell anybody." And then he tells everybody.
Oh my god.
And then what he says is he tells her, like, what you need to do is you need to put all these in the bank. You need to set up a security deposit box. And you can get some loans on the money because it's already secured.
And this chick who's had a banking account since she was 13 was a financial advisor. All this shit is like, but I don't know what banks are. Can you help me? Maybe put it in your name? I don't understand.
Man.
So he's like, well, yeah, of course. Of course
Yeah.
I can help you.
Of course,
Put it in
little
your name.
lady. I will, of course, help you out in this endeavor.
Well, because he thinks I can get my money off this too, right? I can obviously steal this. She's got so much
And she
money.
knows that obviously. Yeah.
So he goes to the bank and he's like, I'm a lawyer. I can take care of all this. So he goes and he sets it up and he gets a security deposit box, which sets up the banks, and he starts getting loans. Everybody finds out, and even her husband, he's like, what's going on? And she's like, look, I told you that I was working at a brothel, that I was coming from a good family, but I didn't want to tell you because, I just love you.
So why didn't you pay for your fucking pipe organ? Why'd that come out of my paycheck?
At some point when they start saying, well, why are you spending all my money? She starts spending her money. She threw a party and she bought everybody at the party pianos.
Oh, come on.
Uh,
Oh, like you've never been to a piano party?
here's
She's like,
your
Oprah,
piano.
you get a piano. You get a piano.
But
What am I even supposed to do with this?
Yeah,
Fuck
so
you,
many
Charles,
people
you
are
don't
like,
get a piano.
how the fuck am I going to get this home? I came here on a fucking horse.
Yeah.
What is going on? It's raining out here. We don't have paved streets. There is mud.
You get a free piano. The only catch is delivery is $500.
Well, it's just like on all those game shows when they're like, yeah, you get a car, but you got to pay like $4
the
grand in taxes.
on it.
Like,
yeah.
well, you gave me a bill. What
Yeah.
the fuck you just did to me? You keep your fucking piano.
It's like that old Mitch Hedberg joke, and somebody hands you a flyer. It's like, here, you throw this away.
Yeah. If I want a piano, I'd have a fucking piano right now.
She bought 8 pianos at a party.
So there was only 8 people at the party?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, plus one.
You
And
had
the
to
help.
Split it. You had to split this piano.
But then now once the word gets out, more banks want to capitalize on this, and everybody wants to try and get like a piece of the money off her. So they start offering more loans, and they're like, well, they give her like high interest rates, and she'll sign off on them. She's like, yeah, I'll pay 50% interest. So they're like, we'll give you $300,000 loan. She's like, cool. they give her $300,000, and they're like,
this is way before social security numbers. Like nowadays, you do all that. The IRS will find you. Going back to what you keep on saying, Cancer, like, man, to be alive back then.
Yeah, man.
No social security numbers. You can just tell them your name and get a giant loan out of these motherfuckers.
It's
like
crazy. You can just look a certain way.
That's why going back, yeah, these people are just fucking idiots. I don't feel bad for these fucking bankers at all, especially their big banks, so fuck them anyway.
Yeah, that really makes it easier to say fuck these fucking guys because they're fucking bankers.
Yeah.
Well, and this is what makes it easier to say fuck them is because the reason it happened was because once word got out that, you know, it didn't get out, but it did get out that she's got this $400 million inheritance. Here's the thing. No one wants to ask Andrew Carnegie because that'll embarrass them and they'll be the one that gets in trouble and get left out. So nobody wants to say anything because they'll be like, "Oh, it's the illegitimate daughter. Don't."
That's an interesting. Yeah.
Say anything.
But see, that's
because he'll get pissed. So they don't want to embarrass him. They don't want to piss off the guy with the money.
Yeah, they're being willfully ignorant. They're choosing not to ask those questions, even though they know those questions should be asked. Because the whole thing is hearsay. She never even told them straight up that she's Carnegie. They heard because Homeboy ran his fucking mouth.
She's just taking the money.
Guys, yeah.
She planted the seed.
There's no proof that her name is even her fucking name. There's no proof of anything. She's just straight up selling wicker furniture that ain't even hers. That's what the fuck is happening. You think any of her dreams when she was the little deaf girl sitting in that schoolyard not talking to anyone, she really thought, I'm gonna fuck all these people up. This is craziness.
Over the next couple of years, she was issued over $2 million cash in
what
loans
is
from various
that
banks.
in today's money?
I got it right here.
Money, man.
Wait, we're in the early 1900s, like
1904.
Oh yeah, so not even in the teens.
Yeah, my grandpa was born in 1903.
But see, yeah, fuck these people. They gave her like $2 million in credit because they heard a rumor that she was Carnegie's illegitimate daughter.
About $61.5 million.
Okay.
61.5 million.
Because they heard she was Carnegie's fucking... That's crazy.
She got loans from Citizens National Bank, Ohio Citizens Bank, Wade Park's Banking Company, New York's Lincoln National Bank, Euclid Avenue Baptist, and then a huge Pittsburgh steel mogul gave her $500,000 cash.
Just a dude that's not even a banker. He's just a steel mogul.
Can I ask you this, though?
Yeah.
What are they giving her money for? To invest?
No, they're
just
giving it as loans at high interest rates.
Oh, like,
so their
yeah.
thing is she's gonna get a bunch of money. She's so stupid. We're giving her advances, but it's like 50%. So we're giving her $3 million. She's gonna give us.
And they think she's good for it because of who she's affiliated with.
They think they're taking advantage of her.
And
They think that she's so stupid she doesn't know these are almost illegal interest rates.
And I'm supposed to feel
bad
for these?
But see, here's two.
They're like, hey, we got to get on this bandwagon. This lady is spending all this money, and if we're gonna miss out, like we can charge her 30%, 40%. Just pick an interest rate, charge her. She'll give you the money.
She's amazing.
But see, here's a couple of things I want to point out in this. Number one, she's reached a point where these motherfuckers are coming to her to rip them off. Like, she's not even going to these banks and applying for these loans. They're saying, hey, we heard you're rich and we can give you these loans. Which, number two, is if they think that she's rich, why would they be like, she probably needs a loan. She's super rich. She probably
interesting
needs
how
a
that
loan.
works.
But number three is, even today, but especially back then in 1904, these bankers are fucking idiots. We can all agree. And definitely bad people because they think they're ripping her off. Like, they're trying to rip her off bad. So it's like, good. They're getting their comeuppance. But the big thing to remember is at this time especially, that bank money is citizens' money. Like, the Citizens Bank really started from being citizens' money. So it's kind of shitty that all these stupid fucking bankers giving her loans over a fucking rumor. But that's not their money. They're giving her $60 million of, and I mean,
everybody else's money.
It probably is a lot of rich,
your people's money.
Yeah.
And I mean, it probably is a lot of rich people's money because even back then there weren't too many like everyday blue-collar workers with checking accounts in these banks, probably. But still, that's something to remember, is these bankers are idiots, but they're not playing with their own money.
In November of 1904, a Massachusetts banker that had gave her a loan of $190,000 finds out about all their other loans. So he finds out, like, okay, so she hasn't paid a single payment back.
It was one of those things that you hear is like, wait, they didn't know she had other loans out? That's fucking wild.
He says, you know what? I just want my loan back. I want my money. She couldn't pay it. And then so they did an investigation and all her securities were found to be frauds.
Now, see, that's where the fine line between genius and idiot comes in, because something tells me that if she were able to give that money back, it would have thrown a lot of people off of her scent.
Right.
And it would have been a good move.
But
Right,
see,
just
what-
bam, here's your 190K.
Yeah, be like,
That's a
oh,
Ponzi
be
scheme.
like, yeah, I understand. Here's your money back. Apologies, it didn't work out, blah blah blah. And then that's
More people are going to
But-
line up to be like, see, she's
like-
even paying these fuckers off.
Correct.
So-
See, yeah, but see, you just said the same thing. That's the Ponzi scheme is like, yeah, but she got the loan, so she has the money to pay that guy off. So just pay him up. Like, that's the whole point of the Ponzi scheme is
Just
borrow
take
from
this
Peter
money to...
to pay Paul. Like, you get these investors and you pay off the new investors to get more investors. Like,
yeah.
Instead, she didn't pay nobody.
Yeah.
She just took all the money.
But she got all these loans, so she should have had the money. Plus, her husband is rich. She's buying pipe organs. She
probably
has the
did.
fucking money.
She
Like,
probably did.
pay this
She-
fucking
but
guy off.
something about the whole,
The personality that makes her do what she does.
And
Right.
I think it's great that this guy figured out after the loan already happened. So I have a feeling like he came back from vacation, was like, what happened? They're like, hey, we got this one bitch. We loaned her all this money. He's like, you did what?
I'm sure that's exactly how they said it too.
What did you do? And then, like, he figured it all out.
Possible. I mean, like, you get.
Because otherwise, this guy would have figured this out before the loan happened.
Plus, I mean, we don't know the distance of these banks. We don't know how they communicated with each other. We don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of the chain
Yeah,
of
Well, at some point, it's
information.
probably being sneaky because you think you're
Clearly-
getting the jump on them and shit. So you're not even
100%.
trying to be.
And she's probably not paying anything back because she's like, well, I could just divorce this guy, change my name again,
away.
move to another fucking city, and do the shit all over again.
Yeah. Like I've been doing my whole fucking life.
Yeah.
A
lot of women didn't smile then because there wasn't much to smile
What
about.
are you gonna smile about? That's why it's considered rude to tell them to smile now, right? Like, smile. Like, fuck you, bro.
Yeah,
Smile.
you fucking smile.
I want to know you're not some evil con woman that's trying to get my money. Smile, please. Smile.
Eventually, they like, okay, we gotta ask Andrew Carnegie now. This all looks fake and shit. So they ask him.
We have just gotten to the point where it's time to ask him.
He said that he's never heard of Cassie and he hasn't signed a promissory note in 30 years.
Probably hasn't busted a nut. And
It's like, what are you talking about? No.
I love.
No, I don't have a daughter. No, I didn't give her millions.
Yeah.
I have a leather sheath I wear.
Imagine you're Carnegie. You're just hanging out being Carnegie. You got all this other shit going on, and you just got all these members like, hey, the lady says she's your daughter, and we gave her millions of dollars. He's like, the fuck are you talking about?
He's like, that's funny. That happened twice last week and
Yeah,
3
he's
times
just-
last month.
He's like, a promissory? What the fuck? Get out of here. I'm trying to play golf.
Did you say a promissory note?
Yeah.
That's not even money.
Yeah, that's not. Is that legal tender?
Well,
No.
that's where I think we're getting in that tricky space because now it's 1904. So now we're kind of starting to get in the modern banking.
Got it.
1880s, Cassie, that's still sliding. Promissory notes and bullshit.
Yeah, it is funny when shit
And
starts to
imagine being
develop.
the banker when you go to Carnegie, like, hey, there's this lady. Do you by any chance have a illegitimate daughter? Do you is that a thing? Because we kind of gave this lady a bunch of money. And then the second like laughs in your face as a banker that gave all this money away, you just have to be like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, fuck, to just realize, which you probably knew.
She doesn't have the money.
Yeah.
Shit.
Like that, just that moment when you're like, oh, okay.
So they moved in to arrest her, but Cassie somehow disappeared. Like before anybody could find her. So they showed up to arrest her one day. They're like, okay, this is a fraud. We're out of here. They showed up to arrest her and she's gone. Nobody knew where she's at. They ended up catching her later in a luxury hotel in New York when she had $100,000 in a hidden money belt.
Wasn't hidden
So they
too good.
found her. Oh, so it was
Well,
like
she was getting
it was
arrested.
it was a manhunt then.
She hit out
be
the
on the
last place
lookout.
anyone would expect. A luxury hotel.
Yeah.
She would have got away with it if she could slum it. She was just like, nah. I would rather get caught than fucking stay at a bad hotel.
That's
I wonder what
interesting.
name she used.
The fraud was a huge blow to the banking community.
Oh, they recovered.
They got it together and shit.
Yeah, they figured it out somehow.
Man, I feel bad for those guys.
yeah,
They're never gonna make it
Jesus,
out.
They're never gonna get it.
Citizens National Bank of Oberlin, who had lent her $800,000, went bankrupt.
Yeah, that'll happen.
God damn.
Meaning they just changed their name and ripped off
Right.
another group of people.
Now we're Chase National Bank.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny how that happens.
Her trial became a media circus. It was attended by Andrew Carnegie and many of her Millionaire Row neighbors. She was found guilty of conspiracy to bankrupt the Citizens National Bank and conspiracy against the government and was sentenced to 14 years in prison and a $70,000 fine.
That's a pretty. I wouldn't expect it to be that low. Like,
Yeah, 14 years?
I mean, that's.
$2 million?
Well, I mean, I guess the life expectancy back then was a lot different. So.
On January 1st, 1906, she was sentenced to the Ohio State Penitentiary. It's not
He's
as
like,
nice as it
oh,
looks.
so this whole thing is mine? This is all my house? Like, no, this is a prison.
Did she wave at the staff to the carriage driver? I'm home.
And she's like, oh yeah, it looks nice. This is my biggest spot so far.
They showed her cell. She was like, so this is my closet for my closet?
Mm-hmm.
So, who are all these other people?
Yeah. Why are they?
These
in
are my
bed?
servants. She's like, oh, I don't think I'll need this many servants.
This is a lot of people.
What's that smell?
I like the size of the place. This is,
Yeah. The help is no help at all.
So she doesn't do well in prison. She really struggles.
What?
That's shocking to
No.
hear. Shocking.
And
Even when she set up shop as a clairvoyant, didn't really.
it didn't work. It worked last time. It don't
for
work
fucking
no
ramen
more.
noodles and shit.
Mm.
She's like, oh yeah,
She ain't got it no more. The eye's gone.
you got
Yeah.
the chili lime ramen. I'll tell you your
But see,
future.
that is weird, but the last time she was in prison, that was her thing. She went clairvoyant again and wound up getting out in 4 years or something.
Yeah,
That
but
said
this is-
her whole thing.
This is 1907 though. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
People
This
are
is-
much smarter then.
Well, I mean, she was like, this is the Wild West and shit. Like,
Yeah.
it's at least like modern times and shit. It's like, it just, people, you can't say oogie boogie and people say, oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, they're
Some
just not
people,
a script-
depends on, I guess, you
Right.
know, depends on where you're at.
A fucking,
Civilized Cleveland.
And at this point, she probably lost her good old clairvoyant touch.
yeah. A Grim doesn't go as far as it used to 20 years ago.
Mhm.
Shit, you know, she
now,
just,
now those alluring eyes, now it's just creepy.
And where was
Right.
this at again?
this is Ohio State Penitentiary.
Okay.
She would correspond with her son Emil a lot.
Oh, I forgot about him. In Canada?
Yeah. But it seems like she might have always sent him a bunch of money all along. And he stayed in our he stayed in his
And he sent her back a letter. If only all this money could buy me a mother.
She's like, dude, stop being a pussy. I'm out here grinding, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can buy a mother.
Open up the envelope, bro.
Yeah. You're a Carnegie.
You're with grandma and grandpa, they're taking care of you. Learn how to be a farmer, bro. Rural Canada, isn't it fun?
Rural.
Well, because he ends up securing her like a spot in the local like cemetery, like so she got buried in a plot by her parents. On September 17th, 1907, she collapsed from a nervous attack and lost her eyesight.
Wow.
Less than a month later, on October 10th, she died of complications due to heart and digestive issues.
Huh.
She was buried in her hometown in Canada.
They sent her back to Canada? Her body?
Yeah. Her son took care of it. Her son had her shipped back home and had him buried at like a...
Well, yeah, when you die,
Interesting.
if you have a kid, when you die, your body just goes to your kid.
Whoever
And
wants
it's up to them to discover,
figure out what they want to do.
to do the burial and shit. And since he's in Canada, he's not going to be like,
Yeah, but you
"Well,
gotta
let me
pay
come
for
down."
that. And they're not gonna give you a courtesy of sending your body back. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like-
no,
The kid paid for it.
yeah, the
Yeah,
kid
that's what I'm
probably,
saying. Like, yeah.
Well, it's either that or he has to pay to go down to Cleveland and find a spot
Yeah,
in
for sure.
Cleveland and all that shit.
But yeah,
She died.
It seemed like in hindsight, the fact that he had everything took care of, they had her took home. They got her. So this is her.
She's
her
only
gravestone
48 years old.
She's an old 48, for the record. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, but that's still a weird way to go.
I mean, not everybody
mean
ages the
48.
same. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, my dad's 83, but he plays pool with guys that are 63, and they all look older than him.
So that's the story of Cassie Chadwick.
So say good night to the bad guy. Come on. The last time you're gonna see a bad guy like this again, let me tell you.
All right. So now you guys haven't seen a picture yet. But if we was going to cast a movie about Cassie Chadwick, who would you cast to play her?
Let's see. Unsmiling. Nest. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I was just
Well, not the physical description, but what's funny is because she's such a rip-off artist and all this sort of stuff, I was thinking Jodie Foster from the film Maverick, but also because she seems a little slow, Jodie Foster from Nell. Remember that
I
good
never
old
watched
movie?
that, but I am going to watch Maverick again when I go home.
For the record, I came up with that when she was going up to after she got rid of her kid and went on her New York tour of
That's
ripping
good.
people off. I was thinking like, yeah, she probably took a steamboat up Lake Erie, up St. Lawrence, up to New York, right there.
Just go to the next spot, wherever's the next spot.
So
that
I was
you see
thinking
some rich
steamboat, like her being Jodie Foster.
people. Yeah, I like that.
Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah, I could see that.
Unsmiling face.
Who's
Nest
Helena
of a head.
I mean, yeah, it's right there.
Side note, read something interesting about Helena Bonham Carter because I seen her in a show recently and her teeth were jacked the fuck up. So I googled Helena Bonham Carter's teeth, and apparently they've approached her with trying to do something to her teeth, like fix them up or whatever. And she's like, no. She's like, no, these are my fucking teeth. Take them or leave them. I'm a great actor.
Fuck it.
Take it or leave it.
At one point,
She's not wrong.
Michael Strahan, and I think Michael Strahan might have got his teeth fixed now, but
That was an April Fool's joke, I believe, where he said he got his teeth fixed.
well, he may have now, but he didn't for the longest time. And he's kind of famous. He got that big gap in his teeth and shit. And at one point, he said, once he's Michael Strahan, he's like the sack champion and shit. And he said no. He said he's like I know I'd get it fixed, but he said when I was like a poor kid in college, people made fun of my teeth. He said I got rich, and people used to say my smile had character.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all of a sudden, that's cute.
Yeah.
I'm Michael Strahan and I'm rich, and now all of a sudden you like it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, when Eminem was
I know
that
you
guy
do.
that was just at St. Andrews with a cut off white T-shirt that was dirty and a shitty old hat, like they weren't like, oh yeah, look how hot he is, and then like fucking 6 months later, like, damn, he's hot. Like, yeah.
I've always said that, like, we're downriver, obviously. So, like, girls that just fucking love Kid Rock and that love Eminem, like, well, you love them because they're rich and successful. Because if you really just want Eminem, like, you go, like, washing dishes at the Dick's Coney Island. This is like a park. Fucking Eminem and Kid Rock is all over the place. Like, you can't throw a rock without hitting an Eminem around this motherfucker.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, the talent also. I shouldn't say just the money and shit. But I'm just saying, like,
yeah, they at that point they didn't care that they were talented. No,
Right.
I know exactly what you're saying.
all right, you guys. So this is a picture of Cassie Chadwick. This is her card that says I'm an heiress. I guess this is the dead, like, uncle or whatever.
See,
First
also,
of all, there's
yeah,
a smile.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. The second you see that card, be like, well, this doesn't even look like you, so I don't believe this card at all. This isn't even you. What do you mean?
First of all, that's not an unattractive woman. Second of all, she's smiling slightly with her eyes. Even more so in the second one. She's like literally smiling.
Wait, which one isn't it?
On the right, she's smiling.
No, I'm saying, but you think that's not an unattractive woman?
No.
I mean, she's a regular lady.
Yeah, I mean,
Look, I mean, anybody with that haircut and that stupid dress is gonna look kind of like that.
that's an unattractive uncle. Her uncle's
Whoa.
ugly as shit.
Hey, you leave Red Fox out of this.
Look, I think,
Yeah, I mean, god damn, dude.
I think
But
she-
no, I mean she's not like ass ugly or nothing, but she's definitely, I wouldn't say is
Right.
attractive
Well, no, she's not. Yeah.
at all.
Well, right. That's what.
I
Those
said
are.
she's
That's what I'm
not-
saying. She's very
Those are different questions.
She's
Yeah.
very plain.
Those are different questions.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I'm saying most of the descriptions seem to be panning out.
She's got like a Mona Lisa look to
I
her.
got some more pictures.
Now that lady on the right there, that's not that great. There's that on the left either.
Those are
And she
all
was
unspo-
48.
Yeah.
So I mean,
It's a rough
I'm
48.
saying even
It's a
younger her was
rough
pretty
40.
rough.
that's rough. Yeah.
No, I'm saying even that one. That one's like
Yes,
her
I know.
early 20s.
I see
though.
where you're pointing, and
Yeah.
yes, that's rough.
Yeah, she's a very not attractive lady.
But I mean, not everybody. You don't always take good photos. Those are bad.
Well, those are all mug shots, right? Mug shots are always taken at your worst. But I think
Well,
over here, like, look, this
My
is
mugshots are great.
Well,
All 6 of them.
straight ahead is my best look. Shit.
I mean,
That's
yeah.
why I always look so stupid, because if I look in the mirror, I look good.
Yeah, my profile is a no file.
All right. Well, so now we got to do the DEF CON scale. Standard DEF CON scale is 5 to 1, 5 being the lowest, 1 being the highest. But on the Bad Guy podcast, there's no good guys. So 5 would be Lee Murray, who's your drug dealing, kidnapping, bank robber. And at 1, you got the Purple Gang, who's got multiple gang wars, multiple massacres, and they kill people on the streets. So on a scale of Lee Murray to the Purple Gang, where would you rate Cassie Chadwick?
5. She didn't kill anybody. She just took care of idiots. She took advantage of idiots and crippled a bank.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
Well, see, this goes back to I really feel like for this whole Conman series, we should adjust the scale a little bit, because
have a different
none of
rating
these
system.
guys really have bodies. That's not the
Right.
Conman style. It really is like the amount of her conning, I think, would be it. And for me, I mean, I always go off personality. Like, are they just a bad person? Were they raised this way? Like, what are their motivations? Her, I would say she is straight up a bad person. Her life was to rip people off, doing it willingly, constantly lying. And even when she had money, even when she conned her way into being rich, she was still like, you know what? Rip more of these people off. To the point that she shut
did
down
do that.
banks, to the point of all this. So, I mean, on the con man scale of all the con men that I've heard on the show so far or whatever, I would put her right up at a 1 or 2. But in like just normal, scale, she would be like a 5 or not, because she never killed anyone.
All right. So we're going to call her a DEF CON 5.
That's right. It's going to the streets. Hey, y'all, it's revolution up in this bitch. Set the alarm. DEFCON 5.
You're just a 5.
Yeah. And I don't even think mathematically that worked out. I don't know what the numbers were, but I just pick one.
Well, if we're going off classic
right.
DEF
Yeah,
CON
I mean-
scale, she is a 5.
All right. Before we go, you guys got anything?
Nothing. This Founders was delicious. Founders, it'll do the job.
Hashtag founders.
Founders, Grand Rapids for beer. Or Comstock. I don't know. I'm confused. I think Bell's is in Comstock.
Bells is in Comstock.
Yeah.
But it's in Kalamazoo, too.
No, it's
Founders
Grand,
is in Grand Rapids, isn't it?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
Grand Rapids.
Founders, Grand Rapids for beer.
Yeah.
Print it.
I was saying Kalamazoo.
Put it on a t-shirt.
Well, you said Comstock. So
yeah,
Bell-
Bell's is in Comstock.
Comstock, which is right outside of Kalamazoo.
Yeah, I mean, they're all like pretty close. Not staggering distance, but
right.
close.
That's the-
They're Uber distance for sure.
They're all in the same state.
All right.
Yeah.
This is Say Hello to the Bad Guy. Thanks for coming and thanks for listening.
Say goodbye to the bad guy.